All right. So a couple things that I wanted to go over with our final projects is just a lot of it. I mean, for the most part, everybody's papers were really, really good. There were a couple things that stood out to be common issues, and that was not using citations, in-text citations enough. Now, let me explain what in-text citations are, because maybe I didn't thoroughly go through this. In-text citations let you know what piece of I think most people use the word artifact, especially if you're familiar with MLA papers. But what artifact or what fact are you taking from another author, and you're inserting that into your works? Okay. Now, the important thing to remember when you're doing this is we don't use quotes in APA paper. Okay, so avoid quotes altogether. I think quite a few papers that I viewed had direct quotes. That's an MLA style because again, you're taking artifacts and then you're inserting them into what would be your opinion or your position. Okay. APA is a little bit different because we're taking ideas, we're taking theories and concepts. And in order to do that, we have to reframe it or rephrase it, paraphrase, if you will. And then we put that fact in our work and then we cite it. So I'm going to give you, I'm going to share my screen with you here and show you. Now, this was my dissertation. All right. So any of you that are going into get your master's degree or your PhD, you're going to have fun. Lots of writing. It was actually a good time. So you're not going to hear many people say that, especially while they're doing it. It wasn't a very good time. But anyway, so this is a kind of a rough example of what your abstract, I'm sorry, not your abstract, your title page will look like. Okay. So there's a little bit more information than what you really need here. Like you don't need to have like that abstract, but you do need to have your title. You need to have your name. You don't have to worry, at least for the assignment, for this assignment, you don't have to worry about your degree. You should let me know what class it is, what school it is, and what date. So those pieces of information would be adequate, double spaced in the center, okay? 12 point Times New Roman. That was another issue. I think quite a few of you had different font sizes or different font styles, but it's 12 point New Roman, double space, Times New Roman, double space all throughout, no exception. Okay, no extra spaces, no single space anywhere, including your reference page, which I'll get to. All right, so that's what your title page should look like. In addition, now this one doesn't have, this one's going to look a little bit different. So for my dissertation, I didn't put a running head. Okay, so you should have a running head up here in the left corner. You should have your page up in the right. All right. And again, 1-inch margins all the way around. And when you get into the writing part, and this is an example. So I got into my background here, and the first thing I start off with is significant research has been conducted. Now, this is a common mistake with everybody's paper that I saw, is they would reference research. Research had been conducted according to research, blah, 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 blah. And then you didn't tell me what the research was. So whatever information you pulled, I don't even know where to look that up. So it's important to go ahead and cite your source like I did here. So significant research has been conducted in the field of psychology, blah, 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 blah. And then I go on and I put my citation here, okay? And then I go on to say, so-and-so examine the difference. So Erickson et al. So I, again, just put a little date in there, just to identify that I am talking about a reference there, okay? And I do it frequently. As you can see, it's peppered throughout just this paragraph. So not a lot has changed. Now, you're going to have instructors with different styles. I think the best way for you to do it to avoid any kind of plagiarism is to, anytime you state a fact, cite your source. And that's going to help you in two ways. That's going to keep you out of hot water, so you're not stating a fact as your own. And also, it's going to really, if you do this enough, it's going to fill up at least a half a page, maybe even a page. It's going to extend your writing a little bit more. So there's a really that's an added benefit to that, okay? So anyway, anytime you state a fact or you point to research, cite your source, okay? Very simple to cite your source. as you can see. Okay, so if I don't reference, like I said, Erickson's research, blah blah blah, I just needed to put a date in here, as you can see here. If I state a fact, all I need is the author's last name, et al, and it would be et al if there are more than 3 um, authors for this. Okay, and then you just put the year of the publication. That's it. Okay. Any questions on in-text citations? Okay, hopefully that was a better explanation for you. For the most part, I think everything was good. As you can see, lots of pages. You're basically writing a book for your dissertation. Lots of fun. Took me lots of years to do this. Another thing I want to point out is your conclusion. So your conclusion should contain your restated your purpose for presenting this information. So what was your introduction about? Why is this important for the reader to know this information? You're going to regurgitate that into your conclusion. And then when you get to your conclusion, you're going to say, well, we found this according to our hypothesis, and expand on that. For this, you should probably have at least a page, maybe a page of your conclusion. Maybe not over a page, but if you do, that's okay too. The more you have in your conclusion, the better, because you're just kind of summing up everything. Okay. As you can see, let's see what my conclusion was here. My conclusion for this was almost 2 pages. It was about 1.5, a little over 1.5 pages. Okay. But that wraps up everything. You just state what I was looking for this. I found this. And this is how. All right. So your reference pages. Now there were a lot of variations in here that I want to pay your attention to. So the first thing is references. So a lot of you had some pretty creative ideas of what this should be called. I think some of you had sources, works cited, cited works. I mean, there's just a variation, but it's just simply references, double spaced throughout. No extra space between these two, or between the reference lists. So please don't do that. And I saw some of you did great with the spacing here, and then you tabbed down or you entered down and had an entire space between this. So don't do that. Just double space is fine. So the format for your references, very simple. It's your author's last names in order as they're published. Okay. First initial, middle initial, ... And then after you get the author's names comes the year. After the year comes the title, either the title of the article or the database or book or whatever it is. And then if you have, let me use a better example here. Okay. So for Atino, we'll do Atino here, for example. That's the author's name, first initial, middle initial, and then the dates. And then we have the title of the publication, or the title of the article that I used. Okay. And again, no quotes. You should not use quotes anywhere in this, or very, very, very sparingly. And then I have the title of the publication, and that's in italics. Then I have the page numbers. Okay. If sometimes you'll see maybe a volume, publication number and volume that can go right here before the pages. And then of course you have your retrieve from. Now, one thing to note on your retrieve from, if you put a website in there, get rid of the blue, get rid of the hyperlink. So no lines, no underlines, no blue text. It should all be black and white. Okay. And that'll save, it'll save any of you that are going to be doing APA papers. That'll save you some points off in case they're really strict about that. Okay. So if you don't have, and this, I think I had this happen. So if you don't have an author, like for example, I had a publication that I used out of the American Psychological Association, the APA. All right. All you do is you have a couple of you had this reversed. You put the article name here first, and then you put whatever the organization was. The organization should go first. So if the National Institute of Mental Health, for example, you're going to put that, and then you're going to put the article after the date. Okay. And for the date, I just need the year. You don't have to have the actual month and day and all that stuff. It's just the year in here, and that will be sufficient. All right. Was that helpful?
Yes.
Anything else that I can help you out with here? I think I covered some of the big issues, the most common ones. And if you have specific ones, I'm going to leave some time at the end here to walk through a couple of these with you. All right. Any other questions here before we get into the lecture today? All right. So moving forward, we have week 12 that's coming up. What are we on? Week 10 this week. So not next week, but the week after that, you'll have your next group project due. That's going to be basically just whatever your proposal is how you're going to present for week 15. Now, what we're going to do for week 15, if you want to keep this in mind, we're not going to have time to get through everybody's presentation live. However, if some of you are missing pack back and you want some points back, if you want to present your work live, we'll certainly do that, and we may even have some opportunities for people to maybe score or not score, but review your work and turn that in for some extra credit as well. More information to come back, but what I'm thinking, at least if your group wants to present, the caveat to that is everybody in the group has to present. So that would be the caveat. So we can't just have one person presenting and everybody gets extra credit. Whoever presents gets extra credit, 10 points, which I think is fair. That'll make up any, like if you missed a pack back or something like that, or at least half of a score for an assignment if you need points there. So keep that in mind when you're designing your presentations, okay? But that will be week 15 that we do the presentations. And but week 12, you'll be turning that proposal in as to how you're going to be doing that. Okay. Any questions?
So for the proposal, we can just say we're going to do a PowerPoint or something like that and then describe it.
Yeah, you should actually have at least a rough draft of your PowerPoint. And I'm not saying it has to be polished, but give me what you have. At least your PowerPoint. You know, if you have a video that you're working on, just maybe give me a synopsis of how this video is going to look. You know, I've seen some groups really get creative with this. So they had animations in there, and it was really cool, acting. So however you want to do that, you know, I'm certainly open to you being creative. So I'm not going to be super tight on how I want you to present it, whatever your group comes up with and is most comfortable. Most people just do PowerPoints and talk through them, and that would be fine too. Okay. Any other questions? All right.